Welcome, welcome to our yoga practice. And you can just make yourself as comfortable as you would like. You could sit up. I just have a small thing I'd like to share with you, and then I'm going to open with a reading from John Aston. He's on the reading list if you would like to check him out. Just something really short, but I hope that you all had the opportunity the other evening to take a look at the full moon. It was so incredibly beautiful. And so one of the things that I realized, it just sort of came to me. It used to be a big part of my practice, remembering this. And so I was enjoying the vision of the moon, and it just came to me so clearly that not only was I looking at the moon, but the moon was looking at itself through me. And this, it just really grounded in me this beautiful function that we have as humans, the way that our senses are configured, that we have this role as being self-reflective, that all of nature, the stars, the moon, the sun, the clouds, the flowers, they can't actually look at themselves and appreciate their beauty and their wondrousness. But as we experience them, they're experiencing themselves through us. So I just think it's a lovely thing to play with, to know that, because it allows our perceptual gifts, our perceptual faculties to take on more of a richness. So the next time you're looking at a tree, just to remember that the tree is looking at itself through you. And it was just, it's just a nice way to blend in more and sort of let go of this, this superiority complex that humans can hold over everything else. We are not, and nothing is really superior. So I'll just start with this short reading, and then we'll open and start to move a bit, from John Aston. Before you start making any effort to get somewhere, to realize some special state, to calm your mind, become enlightened, or whatever, just be still. Don't go off somewhere else. Before any thought bubbles up to tell you there is something to do or change, something to realize or free yourself from, just stop. That is all. Oh yes, thoughts will undoubtedly rush in and try to claim you, try to convince you that there is some vision to behold, that there is some other experience that will make you happier, bring you greatest satisfaction. But don't believe any of them, not for 1 second. Not one of these thoughts can ever actually make this moment more complete than it already is. Let me just repeat that, because that is the essence. If we can get this one sentence, we've really gotten everything. Not one of these thoughts can ever actually make this moment more complete than it already is. You're the president of the company, and all the while these silly thoughts keep promising they'll hire you someday. This is the folly of the mind. This persistent little voice that keeps telling us there's a beautiful house for sale, when all along we were the owner. And now the exploration of yoga. Good. So let's, we're going to lie down, but I would like to just support uh, the pelvis a bit. So not something big and sturdy like a block or a big pad. I'm going to use the small bolster. If you don't have the small bolster, then just use a blanket. I just want to elevate the pelvis a little bit, have a little bit of sensation, but not bring too much there, because we're going to kind of arch the spine a bit, or bring the spine into a lateral flexion. So simply what to do then is to take your bolstering, folded up blanket, small bolster, and just rest the back of the pelvis on it. So just as long as you keep it out of the lower back, we'll be fine. Yep. So just make sure it's nice and snuggled and right where you need to be. And really try to relax all your weight onto it. And then kind of gauge, just depending on the sensation, you may need to bring it down a bit. You may want a little bit more. We're going to bring the legs and the upper body over. So we're more concerned with the lateral flexion of the spine. Like I said, then the compression into the pelvis, but sort of see what feels good. And we'll just keep the legs straight and the upper body relaxed for a bit till we kind of acclimate to that sensation. First and foremost, we really want to remember and honor this practice, that it's really to honor and to check in with and to just feel this very direct, visceral sense of the body. Yin yoga, somatic meditation. So any of the readings or the sharings that I offer, the sort of intricacies of the scriptures and yoga, those are just completely secondary. Those are just like the background, the wind, the music, the murmurings of background sound. But it's such an opportunity to really draw everything in, all of the outer noise, all of the energetic distractions, and just feel a sense of gratitude and a sense of just being the relationship that you have in this particular body. And we can do that, in layers, really. We can do that in these areas that may feel, a little inaccessible or tight. And we can feel the body more energetically, where things may feel congested or flowing. And then as we relax and through the practice, we have an opportunity to, to listen, to listen in a way that we're starting to hear the cellular memory of our experience. What is it that's being held, deep in these processes of our cells and our tissues and our organs, and what it feels like, way under the surface. So just take these first opening moments, and in whatever way you're drawn to whatever is coming up for you, to just really, slow down, listen, relax into your body. And we can hold that into what John was saying from my reading, is that any of these thoughts that arise, none of them are going to help you. We don't need the thought process, the memory, even the self-knowledge, to make this exploration. It's somatic, it's direct, and it's very, very unique to you. So how you're how you're presented with your experience and how you hold that experience is completely up to you. So we turn each asana into a very intimate place. And really the yoga, the practice of yin yoga, the practice of somatic meditation is just to allow us to become more nuanced with our experience. Good. So let's move into that crescent shape that I was mentioning. I think it's best to keep the upper body first where it is, and then just walk the legs over to the left. So knees stay straight, so we're not rolling over to the left. So the knees stay straight, and we just walk the heels over as far as your range of motion will allow. And then keeping that lower body grounded, we just kind of bring the upper body over. And again, try not to let that right shoulder roll over. We want both shoulders on the floor, both heels on the floor, knees straight. Then you can take that right arm and bring it over the head so the back of the hand relaxes on the floor somewhere. So just don't let the arm dangle. You're just sort of completing from the toes out through the fingertips. And this may be a good spot for you if you want to explore a little pulling on the psoas muscle. You can take that right leg and put it up and over that left leg. And this will kind of pull and tug and you'll feel this. And then where the head goes, just let the head be as relaxed as possible. So you may want to explore back and forth with the head and the neck, and then wherever the head feel most relaxed, just let that settle. This pose certainly is a yin pose in terms of exploring the edge of discomfort, but it can also be very restorative in that we can allow the residue of discomfort to soften and dissipate and just be completely relaxed. So if the discomfort starts to do that, no worries at all. This is part of the benefit of not having a technical framework for this yoga, but really just feeling, again, like I was saying, the presence of your body and the experience that is being evoked, and then your relationship to that experience. And one of the primary reasons that we're making this direct connection, why we're really trying to evoke this sense of a somatic meditation and giving ourselves this this spaciousness to explore nuance, is to really cultivate a direct sense of having faith in your body. So one of the things that I have been exploring for a while, and I have come to out of direct experience, is that all of the collected knowledge that our just collective species holds in terms of knowledge about the body, just in terms of pharmacology, in terms of neuroscience, in terms of just practical medicine, is a very, very small amount of knowledge compared to the wisdom that your body holds for you personally. And we want to cultivate great faith in this. Yeah, so this is a balance. This is not saying to not explore and seek external support, but it's also saying not to take that external support and collective knowledge of our species and just overlay it on your body, in your body, on your mind, in your mind. What this is suggesting is to have faith in your body, to have faith in the deep, innate, primal wisdom and intelligence of your body. And this does not have to show up in any specific way. And so let's consider doing the other side. So if you do indeed have that right ankle over the left ankle, let's go ahead and uncross it. And you can relax that right arm and then just bring the upper body and the legs back to a straight spine. And then before you go to the other side, either bring the knees up to the chest. You could bring one knee up and put a foot under that knee in a bit of a eye of the needle pose if you want to stretch a little bit into the hips in addition to the lower back. So let's just kind of work out the left side before we do the right side. You could sway the hips back and forth a bit. You could, sometimes it's nice. I like to extend the legs up just right over my hips up towards the ceiling and then open them wide in a little split, and you feel the weight of the legs drawing into the hip flexors. This is very nice. So let's just have a little passive motion here before we do the other side. And then when you're ready, we can set up for the other side, but please don't feel like you need to move on my rhythm. If you want to keep wiggling there, please do. Then we'll straighten the legs out when you're ready. We'll walk the heels over to the right side now. First, then ground the lower body, bring the upper body over. And again, we want both knees straight, both heels on the floor, both shoulders on the floor, particularly the left shoulder. Left arm up over the head so the back of the hand rests somewhere on the floor. And then if you want to, it's your choice, you can cross the ankles by bringing the left ankle over the right. this is why then we hold the container of the asana in a way that we are invited to draw, to pull inward our energy, to pull inward the consciousness, to just draw things inward. So this gives us um, a doorway, if you will, to this intuitive place of the body. If we're going to have faith in the body, we need to learn to listen to it directly, intuitively, not semantically, not intellectually. And this is very challenging in a modern world where we have so much knowledge at our fingertips and we can reference other people's opinions and experiences. So this is what we're doing. We're letting go of the need to know. We're letting go of in a way, yes, the memory, because the memory has a way of, continually, any time an inquiry about the body or the mind comes up, it references that storehouse of knowledge through the memory, yes? So what we're attempting to do is, how do we feel without using memory? How do we feel without referencing thoughts? And what is this intuitive wisdom that we're wanting to access, that we're wanting to unlock? And also part of it, this drawing inward is, there's a vagueness there. There's a whole world that we don't have the ears and the eyes and the nose to go in and create the kind of visualization that we would if we're looking outward. So this is a great sensitivity. This is what I mean by nuance. And this idea of having faith in the body, this is not the kind of faith we would apply in religious or philosophical terms, but this is the kind of faith that we lean into, that most of the systems in the body are working at this miraculous level. Yes, your food is digesting itself in a way that doesn't need your help. Your cells are communicating among the systems. It doesn't need your help. So everything inside is working at this, miraculous is really an appropriate way to explain it. So that's what we want to have faith in. We want to have faith in that creativity of source, that creativity of the universe that is pulsating with intelligence throughout the whole system. Good. So once again, let's come on out of this. You can uncross the ankles and walk everything back to a nice straight spine. And again, have some movement here. And I'd like to take just a little bit longer and let you kind of move on your own. If you want to do a twist, this is a nice place to do a twist. And you can either do a twist by, from the lower body to bring both knees to the side and leave both shoulders on the floor, or you could come into a child's position and not let the shoulder drop back, but just let the arm up and over the head drop back. So, and you can play between the two. Sometimes I like to start in the child pose here. I'm sorry, not the child pose, the fetal pose. And then just let the arm drop back a little bit and then bring the shoulder there and keep the legs there. So I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes here to kind of play and roll around and work that lateral flexion out. And then we'll come to a resting place. So just wherever, just follow sort of the intuitive sensation of the body, where it pulls you, maybe where you want to rest, or maybe your body's just ready to come into rest and feel the reverberation. And it's interesting, what you can notice with these longer held poses is it is a process of slowing down. It's a physical process. It's a psychological process. It's a process with calming the breath down and just really feeling a sense of, it being very luxurious to slow down into the body. So typically we start with poses that are not held as long, that have a little bit more restorative quality, a little bit of passive movement, and then we just keep on this slowing down process. And then at some point, let's continue to slow down and come into a restful position. You can just lie flat on your back, or you could go back into the fetal position if you're not already there, or even a child's pose. Whatever is most restful, come to a place of stillness. And we'll take a couple more moments here before we move on. So come on up, if you will. And I'm going to give two options for this next thing. They pretty much target the same place. The first one that I'm going to show, the swan, I don't really do it that often because I know it can be awkward for a lot of people's hips, and it's not a pose that people can go deep into. But if you enjoy it, it's really enjoyable. But I'm going to show a second option to it. So what I would like to suggest then is to take the right leg and keep it in front of you. And we're just going to keep it bent in front of us. Sort of like we were going to do a square pose, but instead of square, we're going to take this left leg and draw it around back. And don't feel like it has to straighten all the way out. I know in some more technical yogas, they press that left hip down. It's not necessary. I'd like this left hip to be nice and relaxed. And then the front leg doesn't need to be at a 90-degree angle. It can be. This will stress the knee for most of us. If we bring that leg beyond 90, it's going to stress the knee more. Yikes. If we bring it in, it'll stress the knee less. So kind of play with that angle and range of motion. And then we simply put the swan to sleep. So it's a really sleeping swan where we can relax over it. If you want to try this and you need some bolstering, the two options are to bring the big bolster so you can relax on it, to ease up. You could also take a pillow or the little bolster and put it under this right buttocks. So this evens out the hips a little bit, yeah, and sort of takes some of the pressure off. And then again, we're going to try to relax the body over and down. Yeah. So that's option number one, if you can put the swan to sleep. The second option is the supported square pose, which is one of my very favorites. And that would be to then bring the left leg in front of your body at about 90 degrees, and then bring the right leg up onto the bolster. So we come forward in terms of piriformis and IT band and hip, it's similar. So if you're not so good with the swan today, you can come into this pose. This is a nice secondary option. But either one, we just want to set up the body so we're continuing to slow down, draw that energy, that presence, that consciousness inward, and just relax for an extended period of time. And I suggested the sleeping swan with the right leg bent forward. So if you are doing the supported square with on top of the bolster, I'm suggesting that the right leg be on top. Yeah. And the lower back be nice and rounded and relaxed, having very little concern about what it looks like or how deep you go, but to just listen to the way your body is vibrating and singing and feeling. Embracing this slowing down, in and of itself, the great benefit of being able to slow down and appreciate that we have such an incredible capacity for nuance and subtlety. So continuing the slowing down, and the posture and the container allows for this investigation of the physical body. And then at some point we can layer onto that an investigation of these thoughts. And when I say thoughts, I could just as well be saying feelings. When I say feelings, I could be saying thoughts, because they are so intermingled. We really can't find barriers or boundaries between them. So I'd like to address the thoughts now, and I'm going to share a second reading from John. There is no container of thoughts. The thoughts are not rollicking around inside our heads or brains or bodies. They are arising within the vast, infinite absolute that has no edges, no boundaries. They are floating in empty space. We are that space that has no edges, no boundaries, no form, that great ocean of life that cannot be contained, its waters forever spilling over the edges of that which we call the personal. So a thought, a feeling is really just a contraction of this space. So this is the one of the greatest invitations of yoga, is to just be that space without boundaries, without borders, without separation. And then we can start to release the contraction of the thought, of the feeling, because we're not doing anything with it. We're just allowing it its journey, if you will, in this spaciousness. And again, this is not to be taken, as information. This is just another place we can investigate. So we don't want to create another thought process about being spacious and without boundary. We want to go there directly. We want to relax enough, open enough, feel safe enough to just feel this spaciousness, this awareness without boundary. And then the boundary or the contraction are these ever arising and dissipating thought images. Whichever position you're in, make sure you connect with the weight of your head, unless you have it resting on something. And even if you have it resting on something, you may want to explore removing the support and feel that relationship between the weight of your head and any tightness or resistance in the neck. And I do realize this is can be a sensitive place for us. So be very mindful, and if it feels unsafe, continue with the support. What I'm really suggesting is not to hold it, not to hold the skull, the head, so the tension in the neck sort of remains there. It's really okay to gently ease into it, see if it feels safe, and then withdraw if you need to. But in any of these forward positions, we always want to be aware of that relationship, that the weight of the head and the tension being held in the neck are in their own little dance. So just to bring your attention to that. Good. So let's come on up from here. Yes. So whether you're in the sleeping swan or you've got that right leg up on the bolster, come on up, and we'll just swivel around a bit. You can, if you've got that left leg back, we'll bring that left leg in front. Relax the left leg. And if you were in the swan, that right leg's in a good position, the sole of the right foot on the inside of the left leg. And if you remove the big bolster, it should drop down and right be there. So we have a half butterfly position with the left leg extended, the right leg in, and then again, just come forward. And start with the weight of the head, start with the weight of the skull. Feel the relationship and that connectivity into the neck and the shoulders. And especially for those of you that have the the skull's just the space, right? But if you're one of those that have the really big brains, it's going to add a lot more weight. So mine's pretty light up there, so I don't really have much of an issue. But I know some of you have these big weighty brains. I'm not sure. I think the brain weighs, I don't know, it's like half our body weight or something. It's like 80 to 90 pounds, the brain itself. I have to check that, but sometimes it feels heavier than it actually is. So you can maybe let some of that weight of the brain just kind of drain down into the toes that are not so weighty. And allow your investigation to be very, very free. There's no agenda with the investigation. It almost happens on its own, really. So the body's in the position, we're evoking the sensation, the mind, if you will, the thought process, the feeling process is just happening in this borderless spaciousness, and we get to observe that. And then to move into an investigation of the breath, well, the beautiful thing is we don't have a choice about breathing. And this is a part of the investigation. We can sort of wonder and marvel that we can just, the body will breathe itself no matter what we're doing or what we're thinking about, or we can bring a very specific kind of attention to our breath. I was saying in class a couple of classes ago how elusive the breath is. And we can explore that elusiveness, or we can explore at a more visceral place of an inhalation that feels very, very full, and an exhalation that feels very, very empty. So no choice whether we breathe, many, many choices in how we investigate our breathing. But always best just to let go of the need to have a hierarchy about this thing. Nothing is superior. And the more that you genuinely relax and rest and draw inward, whatever arises, whether it's sensations of body, thoughts and feelings, breathing, or anything else that's maybe out there, just let it be. Just witness it, allow the experience to be in the present moment, and notice how quickly it dissipates and it changes into something else. And of course, when, I use the label body, at this level of exploration, what we're really considering is sensation. So certainly you can bring a certain intensity of focus to a point or a center of sensation, and that's very valid. But also you can really just let the sensation flow throughout the entire body. Think of any sensation as just a cluster of density, a vibration, and let it breathe, let it expand throughout the entire body, let it change. So no need to isolate it, no need to believe that point that you're feeling something, that's a point you have to do anything with. Don't create an agenda for these discomforts or pain. Just let the density soften, let it reverberate, let it expand. It's all part of a much larger, more complicated system of felt sense. The inhalation is absorption. The exhalation is emptiness. The exhalation is emptiness. The inhalation is absorption. Good. So let us come up from our forward bending, or rather extensive forward bending. And then I want to ease right into a backward bend, and then we'll come back to this forward bending so we can do the other side. So you can kind of let the forward bend dissipate while I show you what I want to do, because there'll be 3 stages of this, and you can mix them up at any time. So I want to show you the 3 options. The first thing we're going to do is, if you have the large bolster, we're just going to relax over the long bolster long ways. Yep. So it's going from the low back up towards the head. If you don't have this bolster, you can just pile some pillows up, but we want to make sure the whole upper body is supported. Yeah, so the upper body is supported and the buttocks on the floor. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend some time here, just this backward bend with nothing secondary. And then we'll hold it for a while. We'll come off of it nice and safely, and then add something to it. And I'm going to show you some options. If you have the small bolster, so this would add the most intensity, to add the small bolster, and then this is going to create a nice arch in the lumbar. We'll come back over it. If a couple other options are to take just a roll, if you don't have it, and even if you have your pillows, you could add something to it. So I'm adding just a very soft blanket here to add extra compression for the backward bend. Yep. Or if the lower back is not so good with that, you could just add a simple folding of a towel over the end. Yeah, so you may not think this will add something, but just this little bit of height will. So you can add it that way as well. And then what we'll do is we'll come back into the backward bend with this increased compression. We'll hold this for a while, and then we'll come out once again. And I'll give you options along the way to not come out if you don't want to. We'll remove everything, and we'll go back to where we were. So we're sort of building it up and then bringing it back down. So let's start like this. Have whatever you think you're going to use nearby. Keep the buttocks on the floor, relax the legs out, and just snuggle into it. The thing to watch out for oftentimes is, even if you have pillows, a stack of pillows, is they sort of slide, everything can slide, and then there's too much of a gap there. So hold everything in so it's really snug into that sacral lumbar area. Both buttocks are on the floor. You can relax your legs out, relax your arms. So if you have pillows, just make sure that the head, shoulders are not arching back towards the floor, that they're supported. So you can put something under the neck or the back of the head, and then you'll feel that arch in the lower back. If you have the big bolster, you could still put a little something, sometimes I'll put something under my neck here if I need additional support. So just set it up as best you can. And then at a certain point, we will, well, like I said, I don't need to say it again. So you do not have a choice whether you breathe, but you do have a choice whether you examine or direct the breath or experiment with your breathing. So one of the options in a position like this, and especially as you relax, as you can kind of feel the hips relax and the belly relax and the tension in the lumbar start to relax, you can start to actually direct the breath into the lower belly area, and especially the exhalation. This is the exhalation is the emptiness. So you want to feel a sense of emptiness, openness in the lower belly. So just a gentle, a flowing breath. So it's not static, you're not pushing, you're allowing a sense of movement, a sense of flow. So the breath is just easing, almost like warm water, if you will, moving in this part of the lower belly, creating spaciousness. You can move a little lower down into the reproductive area, and just breathe into your reproductive organs and just feel them, just to appreciate them and feel them. And all the way down also into the root chakra, and just feel that this is the area where we have a connection to the earth itself. And oftentimes leaning into this part of the body and letting the breath and the sensations and the feelings fuse, we can evoke a cellular memory. We want to be able to hold an openness about this. We want to be open enough to just allow whatever arises, to be able to experience it with non-judgmental awareness, to be able to love it. So we're not looking to fix anything. We're not looking to push anything that may appear negative or fearful or unknown away. We want all of our experiences to bubble up, to come to the surface so we can love them, so we can re-educate them. So any part of ourselves that we push back down, that we push away, that we avoid, that we suppress, will find a way to manifest in something symptomatic. So whatever arises, welcome it, love it, be open to re-educating it. So if you're in an interesting place at this level of intensity and you don't want to do this second part, then you can either stay where you are, or you can roll off and take a rest, curl up, and then go right back to where you were. So you don't need to add the secondary bolstering. It's up to you. So either way, if you want to add the secondary bolstering, this would be a good time to place the feet on the floor, feel supported and safe, and just roll to the side, curl up, and just sort of take a few moments here.
So we're going to go back with a little bit more intensity. So whatever you need to do to kind of release the muscular tension that tends to build up. And then whenever you're ready, we'll do that. We'll add that. So I showed 3 options for this. This is sort of the middle one, just a tiny bit of a roll. You could use a small bolster, or you could just flap the blanket over like I showed. So we just want to add something. Again, try not to let it slide. Yep. You want to keep it in, keep the feet on the floor. And, you know, once you get about halfway down here, I can tell either yes or no. And if it's a maybe, you go really slow. And then you want to bring the upper body back down, let the legs relax out once again. So this is just going to add, it's going to accentuate the lumbar curve and add more compression. Or not, or just come back to where you were, and we'll just continue this, continue what we're doing here. And of course, you know, lower centers, chakras, earth, reproductive organs, spaciousness in the lower belly. These are all just labels. They don't really exist. So we take those labels and just use them as a pointer, and then just let them dissipate and go into the experience as directly as possible. And even this idea of cellular memory, it's just a label, it's just an image. Your experience is much deeper than the labels, much more intimate, much more nuance. So be more interested in the nuance, and watch how it changes, and watch how it morphs, and whether we're
aware of it or not, this present moment is unfolding. And this is the beauty of the experience, is that it's just morphing, it's just unfolding. And we can witness it and enjoy it, or we can distract and contract and avoid it. But it is what it is. So this is what we get to explore. This is really the awakening. The awakening is just simply not needing to change anything and just allowing your experience to keep morphing and changing. And welcome it. This is what I was saying, that if things come up that appear frightful or negative, or regrets or shame or guilt or whatever has gotten imprinted, it's coming up to be welcomed. It's coming up to be re-educated. It's coming up to be loved. So this is the power of staying present with the entire experience. And then at some point, even that level of duality starts to dissipate, and we just feel the purity of vibration, the purity of pulsating. And this is the relaxing back into source. We are just source. We are just universe. We are just presence. So this would be a good time to make a change. So if you place something, some secondary bolstering on the big bolster, you could stay here if you'd like. You could roll off of it, remove it, come back on to the bolster with nothing. Or if you didn't add anything, you can stay right where you are. Or if you want to take a small break, you can come off, let everything relax out, and then go back on. So we're going to continue the backward bend with or without what you had under there. It's your choice. And just like breathing, being this vibrating, sense of intelligence, this is not a choice. This is what we are. The choice comes on what we superimpose onto that. And what we're attempting to explore, to investigate, are these layers that we superimpose, are these stories that we hold about this vibratory nature that we are. And this is how we form the separate self. This is how we hold ourselves in the finite mind, is that we have this long, habit of superimposing stories, thought forms, contractions onto a system that fundamentally is just neutral vibration. So we have a choice. This is why the yoga is saying, well, let's go back to that. let's relax back into the soup. Let's relax back into the juiciness of this pulsation, this source energy. And then see, what is it that's arising, and is this working for us? Yeah, we want to function. Yes, we want to have some functional identity. But when we take it to be real, this is the invitation to suffer. So the yoga is giving us a profound opportunity to explore ourselves in relation to ourselves, if that makes any sense. Doesn't really make much sense to me, but what do I know? I'm just really a vibrating, gelatinous, biomagnetic fascial intelligence. And one of the things that we get to look at, we don't really even need the specifics, is the fundamental contraction from this vibratory place is good and bad. This is the duality. And we want to hold on to and move towards and get more of the good, and we want to avoid the bad. But this is an illusion that can morph into a delusion. So the exploration at the level of energy is just so beautiful and so important. And we get to see if we open our heart space, when that heart space feels open at this level of vibration, we have order and we have harmony. When the heart space is closed, we have chaos and we have distraction. But again, we don't have to judge that. We're not, this is not an exploration of judgment. This is an exploration of saying, oh, okay, there's the contraction. There's the heart space closed. How can I invite that to feel more open? What are the sensitivities? What is the exploration? What is the letting go that allows me to come into more balance? Good. So let's begin to come out wherever you are in this backward bending. Put your feet on the floor. Have a little bit of movement and just roll off onto your side. But take your time, and we'll take a little bit of time here. We're going to finish that forward bending up. So just, we won't go into a full rest till we're done. So just take your time, take a little bit of a rest, and then we'll continue. And this also, really ties back into what I was saying earlier about to have faith in your body. This emotional guidance system is just built in. We don't have to cultivate it. We don't have to, read more self-help books. When the heart space is closed, when the heart space is open, it feels open. It feels spacious. It feels loving. It feels in harmony. And when it is closed, it feels chaotic, it feels distorted. So the invitation is not to panic, not to judge it, not to try to fix it, but to feel it, to invite that contraction to the light, to invite the contraction to soften, to dissolve, to come into more harmony. So this is why we move slowly. This is why we move with great sensitivity, because the habits, the reaction is to fix, the reaction is to judge, the reaction is to move towards what we think will make us more comfortable, move away from what we think will make us less uncomfortable, when the fact is that the wisdom is inherent in the entire system. Contract, expand, contract, expand. This is our system. This is our intelligence. This is our faith in the body. Okay, so let's finish up that forward bending. So this time, if you forgot, we're going to keep the left leg in front bent, and we're going to extend this right leg back, but again, not in a way to press the right hip down. Be aware that you can angle the front leg in, less tension on the knee, 90 degrees, some tension, depends on your knees, and then we're going to relax over this. We can put a bolster front. You could put something under that left buttocks. And if you're choosing the supported square, then same thing, just switch feet on the other side. We'll bring the right leg in closer to the body, bring that left leg up onto the support. And if you did the swan the first time and you want to do this the second time, perfectly okay. If you did this the first time, the supported square, and you want to try to put the swan to sleep, please feel free. If you've got the leg up on the bolster, come forward, be aware of the weight of the head, relax into the lower back. If you're in the sleeping swan, just let it sleep, nothing to do. Nothing to do but appreciate that your body breathes itself, that your capacity to relax is a very natural and organic one. It takes no effort, and that these thoughts and these feelings that you have are not contained within your brain or your body. They are contained in wide open, infinite, eternal spaciousness. They simply come from nowhere and they go to nowhere. And again, if you find yourself preoccupied with a sharp point of sensation, you can certainly back away from it a little bit and, manipulate it to soften, but you can just also just let it expand. You can let it vibrate deeper and out and breathe. So it's not just the lungs that are breathing, the inhalation. When I say the inhalation is absorption, everything is absorbing your focus, oxygen, flow, fluidity, sensation. And when you exhale, everything is just emptying out. It's the emptiness. So notice your relationship. This is the nuance. Notice your very subtle, sensitive to relationship to what you're feeling. This is why we don't need to label them. We don't need to diagnose them because we're feeling them. And part of this connection with this intelligence and this intuition is to really connect with the fact that your awareness has no inherent limitation. It has no inbuilt limitation. It has no boundaries. And this is not esoteric. This is something we can explore moment to moment. You can be aware of anything. And we get to see this interesting interplay, how we've confused the objects of our awareness with the awareness itself. Like if we looked up into the sky and we saw a cloud and we thought, oh, there's the sky, that one white cloud. But if we look at it long enough, it dissolves. But the sky doesn't dissolve. The sky is the awareness, the spaciousness, has no inherent built-in boundaries, has no limitation. So the clouds, the thoughts, the feelings, the sensations that arise within the sky, they arise and they dissipate. And at the same time, we can allow ourselves to feel grounded. We can allow ourselves to feel this connection between the groundedness of the physicality with the earth itself. So this is so beautiful. What an amazing capacity to be human, that we can be grounded and earthy and in the depth of the earth itself. And I mean that literally. And we can be this unbounded, boundaryless awareness.
Okay, so let's come on up. If you're in the swan, let's wake the swan up a little bit and come on up. And this time we're going to take that right leg and scoop it around front. If you're on the bolster, do the same thing. You can remove the bolster. We'll extend the right leg, bring the left leg in somewhere on the inside of this right thigh, and then very gently. So we want to make these transitions slowly and gently. Make sure the tension is really acknowledged and felt. We're not just putting the body into position. We're not using the body to get into a position. We're using the position to get into the body. So you always want to honor that. And then we'll relax some more. And this is why I think that the only mantra that we really need is I am what does not change. So if we can embody that, if we can actually realize that, then what does change, we can be more playful with because it's going to change. Just like when we, watch a scary movie, we can be playful with that because we know that the movie's going to end. We know that each frame is going to change into something else. I am what does not change.
And whatever it is that is arising for you in this moment, in any moment, get more subtle with it. Don't stay at the surface. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to diagnose it. Don't be afraid of it. Just get more and more and more subtle with it. Good. So let's come on up, please. And let's take a nice, well-deserved longer rest here. So make yourself comfortable, make sure you're warm, and we'll take a rest before we move on. When I say your heart space open or your heart space closed, I am not really referring to that muscle in your chest that is surrounded by this matrix of liquid crystal, although I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff going on in there. What I'm really referring to when I refer to your heart space being either open or closed is your recognition of yourself as source, as the universe, as the sun. And this becomes very important when we really want to explore our sense of self-love. Because very often, what I have found in my own experience is a profound confusion. Comes from the culture, comes from usually our upbringing, that love has to do with our behaviors, that we can love or be loved based on our behaviors. So this is a limitation. This is a dualistic limitation, and I believe a confusion that love is the recognition of who we truly are, that we are the sun, that we are this source, that we are this unlimited awareness that has the safety of being eternal, the safety of never beginning and never ending. So this becomes then our heart space. Our heart space is our openness to this identification of ourselves as life itself, really, not separate from life. We're not a manifestation of life. We are life. So then we get to, work on our behaviors or not. We get to observe our behaviors or not. But if we're going to truly cultivate self-love and love for others, we then cultivate this recognition of our true nature. This is all of yoga, really. All of yoga is just pointing to this, the nature of the true self. And this is what I was saying earlier. Then when we hold this container, when we have this recognition, then it doesn't mean we're not going to feel shame or guilt or fear. So when these things arise, when these behaviors arise from our cellular memory, we want to welcome them. We want to bring them into the light of this internal sun. We want to re-educate them. So when I speak about the heart space being opened or closed, this gives us this direct connection to this emotional guidance. That when we feel this expansiveness, when we feel ourselves as unlimited spaciousness, as awareness without boundaries, then we feel safe, we feel order, we feel harmony. When we feel that contract into a limited self, into a finite mind, this is chaos, this is disharmony, disruption, distortion. But nothing we need to shield ourselves from. This is then to explore. And so this is the beauty. It's not, this self-love is not a romantic notion. It's not a mystical notion. It's looking around at the stars in the sky and the forest and the wind and the ocean and viscerally feeling we're a part of that. We're literally the cosmos. We're literally the universe. We are source itself. So at this level of self-love, then we can relax about the behaviors. Good behavior, I'm source, I'm love. Bad behavior, I'm source, I'm love. And the same with others. So we don't have to have these filters of, oh, good behavior, I love you. Bad behavior, I don't. It's a sense of freedom, and it's a sense of harmony and connection that we can recognize. We don't even have to cultivate it because we already are it. We just simply recognize it. I mean, basically, you could say that you are your own solar system. Your system is solar. Your system is this light. Okay, so good when I get chattering like that. Yes, because we get a longer rest, but let's come on up and continue on this journey. So, yeah. So let's take if you have a big bolster. If not, build up some pillows and blankets just about to the height of this bolster. And this time, we're just going to support the shoulders on it. So we're not going to come into like a deep backward bend. So it's nice and low. So what I would like to do is come over this bolstering, or again, pillows or blankets. The thing to check here is possibly something for your head. So I have my shoulders off of the bolster. If my neck is feeling nice and frisky, I can just put my head to the floor. If the neck is feeling like I'm not feeling that frisky, then fold something up and put it to support the head as much as you need. Yeah. So I basically have my shoulders onto the bolster. Yeah, maybe a little draped over, but most of my shoulders are on the bolster. So can you see? Yeah, so it looks something like this. Yeah, good. And then you can relax the legs out, and we'll settle for a bit. And basically what we're going to do here is we're going to bring the arms up over the head. And I'm just going to invite you to bring them over the head. They can be relaxed out and sort of floating. You can interlock the fingers. You could press the palms out. You could straighten the elbows out. You could just bring one or the other. So just the weight of the arms is going to draw you right down through the elbows and into the shoulder girdle and the rotator cuff area, open the ribs a bit, that kind of thing. So settle the shoulders, support the head, bring the arms up over the head, and just sort of be intuitive with them. You can go in and out of different positions too. Sometimes I'll just straighten the elbows, interlock the fingers. Other times let them float. but also, be mindful that with the invitation of this movement, also find some stillness. So if you find a position with the arms and you're connecting with the tightness and the contraction and any layers of misalignment, this is also something good to explore. So I'm just saying, be creative with the weight of the arms because they're your shoulders. But once you find a place, this is the function of the asana is to evoke places where the body is contracted. So this is what we want to explore. So, be creative with that, but also, okay to lean into that edge of discomfort. This is our exploration really begins at that edge when the comfort and the discomfort are sort of melding together a bit, and we're not so sure. We want to stay safe, but we want this, the awareness to permeate what we're feeling. So it's in a way, it may not seem like it, but each and every asana is really a creative exploration. And this is why, I said in the beginning that the sharings, that the teachings, if you will, although I'm not so sure they're really teachings of yoga, are really secondary to cultivating this very genuine sense of somatic meditation. Because this is really what we're doing all the time. We're responding to the contraction and the expansion of our soma, of our external and internal states. So the yoga is just to bring a more intention to that and bring a clarity to that. And then, just to add to that, with the invitation of yoga that we are this infinite oneness, one of the subtleties to that is understanding that it's not something that we have to cultivate. It's not something that we have to seek out, because we are it already. And I was saying this a few classes back, that the veil and the seeking are the same thing. So the invitation is to just let go of the seeking. There's nothing to seek, to just be it. It's a simple recognition. It's to sit quietly and to see that what we thought was a boundary, we cannot find it. What we thought was a limitation, we cannot find it. We have to create it. And this is based on habit. This is based on conditioning. And this is the good news. This is the very good news. We can let go of our preoccupation with having to be anywhere other than we are, and just celebrating that we are not a victim of life. We are an expression of life. And we get to celebrate that. So relax the arms wherever if they're relaxed, keep them relaxed. If you have them dangling over the head, let them relax. And just as earlier in the backward bend, we brought some conscious breath to the lower area of the body. I'd like you now to just breathe into your upper chest and breathe into your throat, breathe into your nasal passages, and just the skull itself. And just see if you can become sensitive and just really feel each one of these areas. And of course, the same caveat as with the lower centers, upper chest, throat, nasal sinus passages, container of the head, these are all just labels. But to just bring some sensitivity to a felt sense of these areas of the body. And it really is, lovely when we're reminded that we cannot really find the chest. We cannot find the throat. We cannot find the nasal passages. We cannot find the spaciousness of the skull. So it allows us to then be creative and intuitive in how we breathe into this space. So there's a flow, if you will, there's a pulsation of imagery, and I think I can locate this space, and just letting go and feeling it. And it's sort of letting the energy just wash through you. It doesn't have to be specific. We're not looking for specifics. We're not looking for more information. We're looking to simply feel. And this is where the invitation of subtlety is really a good one, because how deep can you actually go into your throat? How much time do you spend in the subtlety of your throat, in the subtlety of your nasal passages? So before you come out of this, I just want to share something that has come to me to just change the closing protocol a bit. What I'm going to begin to do, starting with this class, is when I close, I'm just going to close. I am not going to open it up for comments, because I feel like it sort of can inhibit your opportunity to either stay in the final pose longer, or give yourself a longer rest in Shavasana, or just sit up and go into meditation. So there's been really no significant questioning after the class. If you have questions, you can ask me before class or contact me outside of class. So what I'm going to begin to do, once I close the class with the final gong, the namaste, then I'll just disappear, and then you can just stay in your own space in any way that you like, and really just let just listen really to your own intuition and how you want to integrate it. So at this time, you can either stay in this position. If you would like, you can come into a final Shavasana, traditionally on your back, or you could sit up and open yourself to meditation. So we'll do that at this point. I thank you. I love you. I bless you. Namaste.